Hello, Sterile Processing World. How you guys doing? And guys, here are my co-hosts, Jhmeid Billingslea, Sean Weir, and Jessie Lopez.
You,
Welcome,
what's
guys.
up? What's
Welcome,
up?
welcome, welcome. So, happy Thursday, guys. Happy Thursday. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time. Today we're talking sterile processing, apparently. So, um, I want to start with an intro. I haven't done an intro in months, so I'm gonna let our folks, get into the intro. That's the buzzword for log on and get ready for a good show. All right, guys, 1 minute. Welcome back, guys. Now, right off the bat, we were talking in the background. We were talking about PPE, right? So, that's kind of a hot topic now. So, what do we like in terms of PPE now? Like the guidelines, right? Some of the guidelines seem a little out of order, so to speak. So, guys, what are your opinions on the guidelines? Because I had a whole show planned basically on changing the PPE donning and doffing guidelines. What do you guys think of the guidelines? There's one particular part in terms of taking your gloves off before you take your gown off. I had an issue with. So, what do you guys think?
Well,
Go
I'm
ahead,
going to say
Jesse.
right off the bat, there's only one guideline out there, and it's the CDC. Everyone references the CDC guidelines. So where all the other guidelines and steps come from, I don't know where they read that from. So when people make up their orders and decide to say it doesn't matter, it does matter. There's a guideline for a reason. CDC, even though they're not regulatory, they are used heavily in all infection control and all of our processes. So why do we deviate away from that? Makes no sense whatsoever to me.
100%.
True. So, what do you suggest? Forget the other bodies, forget their guidelines, or
Well, it's not even about forgetting. It's not even about forgetting the other bodies, because the other bodies are looking at that reference. So if they're looking at it, why even deviate from that? It's like, if you're looking at that reference and that's the only guideline you have, why even look at anything else or create anything else? It's almost like saying that you know the law here in New Jersey, but you decide that you want to look at a suggestion from Louisiana. It ain't gonna fly. It shouldn't fly.
so true. What do you think, Mr. Billingsley? What's your take on that? Oh,
So
Mr. Billingsley.
I think, first of all, Corey Hofstad's kind of told us that Corey Hofstad's studies kind of tell us that you may not have enough PPE on in the first place. So let's start there. When you talk about aerosolization and all the skin that we have exposed, that's one part of it. The other thing is sometimes we wear like cute and cool stuff that undermines our PPE. Like, I know you have an advertiser that sells shoes that are for sterile processing, and whether you want to buy those or not, tennis shoes, the strings, the inability to clean the mesh, those are harboring microorganisms. So you're talking about PPEs and taking off shoe covers and stuff like that. But one, looking at Corey Offset's study, are we protected enough in the first place? And two, do we have on cute stuff like T-shirts, turtlenecks, bracelets, nose rings, cheek rings, and all that stuff that may undermine the whole PPE? Because the PPE guidance wasn't meant for you to wear those cute Nike Air Max meshes that you really can't get disinfected unless you take home and wash in the same washer you wash your family stuff. So, I mean, I think it opens up a can of worms.
So I'm glad you said that, because there are actually, so there's two things out there you said. You know, one is changing your PPE. Do you change your socks when you go back and decontam? And then you wear those same socks back home in your home shoes. Oh, he's still talking. We good, Deannard?
I'm trying to mute him a little bit.
Okay.
So, but aren't your socks covered though? Aren't your socks covered?
You are, but what if you have a little leak through, and what if water runs down through your gown? When I used to go to work at my locations, I would have dedicated work socks that I could change into home socks, so I wouldn't have, my home socks being into my work socks into my home shoes. Back when I first started in sterile processing back in 2009, I remember hearing a study out that, and I told my new hires this, there was a study that a family got sick, a guy worked in sterile processing, and had a dog, had a baby, and the whole family got sick, including the dog. They finally did a trace study back on everything that was going down in the family. It turned out that the individual wore the work shoes home. The dog then licked the shoes and then gave all the family members kisses, and that's how the entire family got sick. So he was wearing his work shoes home from decontamination, assembly, back home to his family. That's why I try when I'm training a new person to drill home, like, you need dedicated work shoes. You need to have dedicated separation in your locker from your clean the dirty, from your home to your work shoes, at least. I actually build shelves in my locker.
So, that's interesting. That's kind of it's almost funny, but it's not. So that's kind of a nice story if you tell it.
Yeah.
So the dog licked the shoes, then kissed everybody.
Yep.
Everybody got sick.
Definitely ill.
Those shoes were from decontam or just regular street shoes?
They were his work shoes that he wore home. He didn't change out of his dedicated, supposed to be dedicated work shoes.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like watching the surgeon walk into the hospital and not changing his scrubs or his shoes.
True, which happens at some places, I know.
We're not here to pick on surgeons today.
No. They're good guys. They help the bills get paid. What's your take on that, Jesse? So
I mean, it's recommended. It is. I mean, we should be swapping out. But here's my thing. Here's my gripe on that one too. And I think we need more data on it as well. How many people shower before they leave out of their work to go home? We harbor so many microorganisms on our body for a specific reason. They're our protective, our natural flora to fight off all the rest of the microorganisms. Now, if you're in a facility, and again, we're in a hospital. Hospitals, that's where people get sick at. There's microorganisms. There's opportunistic microorganisms there. Even if you walk out in the street with your work shoes on, the amount of microorganisms that are in the street would probably counteract the microorganisms that are in the decontamination shoes. Because we all know the studies of how long microorganisms live on surfaces, but you walk in all kinds of bird poop, dog traces, whatever that may be. Those microorganisms there would be more aggressive than the microorganisms that sat in decon floor for 8 hours of work time. So is there a possibility to cross-contaminate and take, those microorganisms home? Of course there is. Is there enough data out there showing? I don't think there is, because again, how many people shower before they go home? You got your PPEs on in decon, and again, Corey Offstead's, study showed it. We don't have the protection. We're only concerned about hand washing. We don't say after you take your mask, wash your face. We don't say when we take our gowns off, wash all the way up to the sleeve of your arm. We don't say none of that. We don't even say change your scrubs unless they're physically soiled or wet. So imagine the microorganisms we have on that we carry around all day long. Yes, we change them out, but guess what? When we put our regular clothes on, the microorganisms that came off of the scrubs that we don't have no specific order, rhyme, or reason to take off, land on our body, onto our clothes, and home. So where's the studies on that?
So Jesse, how many hospitals locations actually have a shower in their locker rooms? Provide that service?
I've been to 14,
That's a
and
good
out of the
question.
14, 13 have them.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, quite a few do
Wow.
have them actually, but they're usually relegated to storage at some point because nobody uses them.
This is actually the second facility that I've ever been to that doesn't have a shower in the actual break room.
Well, I'm gonna jump on with Sean. I would say most of them, maybe up there in the Northeast they do, but most of them don't. Typically, the OR might have one, but the sterile processing doesn't usually have one.
So why should we have a dolphin scrub protocol?
Well, I mean, again,
SOP?
how do you do that with a? I mean, I have them on right here. How do you do that without contaminating yourself in any way possible? It's impossible. You got to put it over your head unless it's buttoned down. You know, you got to lift this over your head. The conception of thinking that microorganisms just sit on a surface and don't move, it's mind-blowing to me. That's how come I usually have little debates with infection control specialists, and I talk about this air hoses and prep and pack, and I talk about all the air movement and cross-contamination. Us speaking, let me tell you something. If we can put a black light and a microscope in a room to see how many microorganisms are in the air when we speak, with just 1 psi of air for every breath that we take, or sneeze is 1 psi of air. We move so many microorganisms in the air. So for us to take off a PPE or even a shirt without contaminating yourself is impossible.
Yeah, I think it is impossible. I think it's impossible. I think we're just going above and beyond. We're trying to go above and beyond, but you can't avoid
and
it.
that's always what we should do. I mean, the best practices are based on the minimal safety and quality that you have out there. To exceed that, it's always a good thing, but be careful because not everything that glitters is always gold. When you exceed a standard, you're going to be held to that exception, and sometimes it's not sustainable. You know, we can talk all that, oh, we're going to do the best practice and we're going to go above it, we're going to do this, but how sustainable is that? And how much data is there to support that? And that's the problem with our industry, is that there's very little data with what we do in our practices. So people deviate from it. It's like, okay, we're supposed to do this, but nobody's getting sick. Nobody's doing this. So why can't I do that? Or does it matter to put on a PP? No, it doesn't matter how you don it. It's how you doff it. No, it does matter. But there's no data that's saying, oh, well, we've been doing this for decades and nothing's been happening. It only takes the one time. That's the problem. That's the thing. It only takes the one time before it has to change specifically.
So I want to call out Callie or Arlene. You know, you're a gynae doctor. You used to wear open-toed shoes in cases. That's absolutely disgusting. I've never seen a surgeon or a doctor wear open-toed shoes in the operating room. Although one hospital, I did see a doctor take his shoe off, put his foot down on the ground, and then put his shoe back on. And it was an arthroscopic case. So, yeah, that's kind of gross that a doctor would wear open-toed shoes.
Let me tell you something. It's amazing how I hate to say higher education because it's a different education, it's a different avenue. But to me, if you're a surgeon, you should know like what RNs do. You should know what technicians do. You should know like all the steps below. And they have no clue. Surgeons are the worst, man. Let me tell you, they're the worst. They don't care.
So yeah, Deannard, like Angie Holland called out
Mhm.
Jesse. How do we fix that? And I think more of us in the industry, we really got to get involved with Amy and be part of those committees. Get active
True.
with Amy. Be part of the change.
I
Sit on those
definitely agree with
meetings.
that.
They might seem very boring, but I can tell you, I've learned a lot on the 6 committees that I'm on, and I jumped in and I didn't know what was going on. And I might still not know what's completely going on in all the meetings, but you'll get in those meetings, your voice is heard, just on the committees. Now, if you go to the conference that's going on right now, it's I've heard it's amazing to hear them speak, go through the content, go through the steps, and listen to all the changes that are being proposed to our standards, which need to occur to reflect the new standards out there in the world.
Yeah, and shout out to Andy Mikos. I hope I didn't butcher his last name. Who posted that photo on LinkedIn of that empty Amy Standards room. Thank you for that. So next year I'll be on my way there, guys.
Trying.
Yep. So I missed mine this year, man. Technical difficulties, but I'll be there. I'll be there in the fall.
So Jhmeid, come on, how was it?
Well, it was great. It was great. Andy did tell you that was during a break. And,
Yeah, I was about to say, because I was like, yo, that's a sorry crowd right there. What's going on?
no. Now, of course, obviously, as an end user representative, I want the room to be filled with end users, right? But we had a bunch of new people who had never been there. And listen, I totally understand not being able to physically get down there. It's not the easiest thing to convince your facility, like, yeah, I need to miss some prime time so I can write some stuff. And they go like, what do you mean? But you have the observer thing that you can do online. But if you can come in person, it's a whole different world to get to interact and kind of see those looks on those faces. So it was great. There were at least 5 new end users. And it just changed the tone of the room, right? Because it's always going to be dominated by industry people, and they're speaking to the best of their know-how and ability. But what they don't know is what we have to do and how we take these standards and apply them. So I really want people to come. It's almost time to open ST79, which is the main standard that we all use the most. And we need you guys, we need your face in the place, either online or in person. Because, it's this thing like it's a conspiracy with industry people. They don't know or like each other any better than we do. It's really that they don't understand. If we don't have enough people to speak up for our side, then we are going to get caught in a huckabuck, as we say down in the South, in the situation where something unintentionally has a bad effect on us. So it was great to see Ebo. And I know I'm going to leave some people out. Deannard, I'm not Deannard. Kenneth Deannard was supposed to come there. Rebecca.
Called you out.
Deannard was supposed to be there. Jesse, no, he was supposed to be there. But seriously, when we're there, our interests are more aligned than theirs are. Because we might be complaining about one company that makes sterilizers and another company that makes this, but they have their own specific interests. Our interests are more aligned. And so the more of us that are in that room, the more it's going to come out better for us. So thank you, new guys, for coming. I'll do a better job of mentoring. Bring your laptop. Just because you have to be on the screen, bring your laptop. I did a terrible job of that. Bring your notes so you can take notes. But other than that, man, those guys were in there and kicking butt, dominated. I appreciated them coming. I felt like it was more of us there than has ever been there. So thanks. Okay, cool. Sarah, I can't wait to see you there.
Calling everybody out. Calling everybody out. So Arlene gave a little comment here. Parents come and pick their kids up in scrubs. So, but there are actually some people actually come to work with scrubs, change them, and go live with scrubs. So I can't come and condemn everybody who lives with scrubs, because
I call that some instead of taking all business codes, like people see me on the Thursday or whenever I'm talking to the C-suite, and they're like, "Man, you dress sharp. You didn't see me every day until here. I was wearing my scrubs in the change of your scrubs." So yeah, it happens, but I get where Arlene is coming from.
All right.
That picture tells the story.
So let's. We're switching topics now. We're going into.
Oh, boy.
This was. I'm gonna put him on the spot. This was Sean's topic.
All right, bring it on. What is it?
So we're going into travelers now.
Oh.
We're going into travelers. Sean, what's the problem with those travelers? Like they come, they help us out.
No. All right, so listen. I have all respect for nurses, surge techs, doctors, SPD workers, and travelers. However, my issue is with travelers is, they come in for a contract. They're assigned a set location where they're supposed to work at, or areas, or all the functionality of the department, right? But then they go and they from what I've seen on some social media platforms, they bash the entire hospitals across the Americas, across the world, about how terrible they are, how short-staffed they are, how their management team is so unprofessional, and they don't care about the workers. They just want, productivity. And I'm looking at them like, you have maybe 1 to 2 years experience on an average in the day and age we live in. And they're traveling, but they have no invested interest into the hospital that they're supplying their work efforts towards. And for people who just bash any hospital across the world for being short-staffed, I mean, that's why they're there, to provide that service. But they don't need to go on and publicly bash hospital systems on why this hospital is so short. Look at the location where hospitals are located at. Some hospitals I visit, their town they live in is probably under 100 people.
Oh.
And they have X amount of workers that they can pull from. The closest town's a 40-minute drive. And that's no lie. So I think travelers need to have a different mindset that, yes, they're there for a service. They are being paid way more than a regular hospital technician is. They need to respect that and not disclose how much they're making, 100%. And they need to respect that, they're there to provide a service. And just the bashing on social media is not professional. We are professionals, act professional. And, we're all in it for the same reason, patient safety. So that's way better than someone else's sound effects.
I had to jump because you went into some touchy subject.
It is. It's a very touchy subject, and I'm going to hurt some feelings out there. I know that, but it's the truth, though. If you bash your hospital system you work for, you're going to get in trouble. If you bash a hospital system and you're a traveler, this looks bad on your agency. And if I'm a traveler or agency and I'm recruiting people and sending people hospital wares, and I see them bashing systems or locations, personally speaking, again, this is just my own opinion, I would drop that person for bashing a hospital for being short-staffed. I mean, the world's not what it was 5 years ago when we had, people who actually were dedicated to systems or locations.
I'm just thinking of a response for that because I don't want to I don't want to put myself in a hole here. That's like talking about politics and religion. So
yeah,
I don't want to.
I mean, Sarah said it. Sarah said it right. We must be able to speak as still processing, not like opinions have more harm than good. Again, I believe with everyone on the comments for the most part.
So Dante mentioned onboarding travelers. So is it an issue of travelers not understanding the area they work in or the dynamics of why they're there? Because, hey, the town only has 200 folks in there. The closest town is like 45 minutes away. We can't pull anybody. Everybody's like housewives. They work at the local McDonald's, Walmart, etc. We can't get any sterile processing professionals to come our way. So that's why we have travelers. And our facility doesn't make that much, so we can't get the latest sterilizers, washers, etc. And we're trying to get more cases in so we could make that money to actually get, turn that around and get the new equipment we need. But in between that, we're short-staffed and we're overworking our sterilizers. We're overworking our staff until we get to that sweet spot where we could actually get that capital and purchase those items. So are the travelers educated on that fact, or they just come in and, hey, deco on 5 days, 8 to 4:30, and that's it?
Now, someone said, is there like a code of conduct documentation side? I can't speak to every hospital. I know when I have travelers coming in my locations, when I worked in as a manager or supervisor of locations, I would go through an onboarding process with them and give them the lay of the land, tell them what our case volume is, show them, you're going to be doing assembly and decontamination. What's your strong suit? What do you need work on? Because, we need to know that as a manager or director bringing travelers in. What are your strong suits? Have you ever worked with tracking software? Can you do scopy processing if we have call-offs? Those types of questions. I want to hear Jesse or someone else's
Jesse
opinion.
on that. Jesse, you
Let
have
Jesse
videos
jump
on
in.
there, so
Let me
this
jump
should be
in
light
here.
work for you. Come on.
As a former traveler, I will say there's some jacked up facilities out there. All right, that's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the matter. And the thing is, when we see it, we call it. The problem, and again, I'm going to say this because even as us as professionals, that's the reason why we have these conversations, these podcasts. And now we're not bashing a specific system because we keep it anonymous. But when you're not tied to it, it's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what. You go on Facebook, you type in any healthcare system and a certain traveling form, and you'll get healthcare systems called out. Numerous varieties across America.
No, and I agree.
And it's a shame.
No, I agree. But that's the world we live in. I mean, we're gonna bash. It's gonna bash. Yeah, we bash products. We bash manufacturers. We bash automobile. We don't have a problem bashing. Nike. Uses child labor. X, Y, Z. Travelers are going to do the same thing. And they're going to facilities, and some of them may not have the experience to be talking the ish they do, but at the end of the day, it's like they see so much going on, and they know what's wrong is wrong. And if a facility is telling you that this is how we do it, X, Y, Z, because I'm going to tell you right now, like me as a traveler, I've turned down so many locations that made me pick into baskets. I refuse to pick into a basket because I'm seeing how that basket come out of decon, and I'm like, no, I'm not sticking my hand in that. Deuces. I'll go to the next contract. Because again, it's as a traveler, you expect that experience, but they're only experienced as what you're teaching them in that facility. And I'll call a facility out quickly. As a traveler, as a technician, I used to be like, well, why are you guys doing it like this? Because the standards say like this, and the guidelines teach you this, and our tech manual teaches this. This is completely wrong. Like, where do you get this practice from? And I'll challenge it. And as I would hope that a traveler does that to me so that I can explain the why of what you're doing it. And if it's wrong, then it's not the place for you. But I mean, I get what you're saying, that they shouldn't be, and there should be more professionalism. First of all, Facebook is not Facebook is open season, dog.
Yeah, but if we're trying to come
you
off
better
to the
go on
world as
if you go on Facebook for any comment, you better have your stuff together because you're gonna get thrown under the rug there.
yeah, but if we're trying to be more professional as an industry, though, I think we need to come together as a whole and say, hey, look, we need to change the way we present ourselves to the media, to the world.
I get that, but Sean, we can't even agree how to put on PPEs. Come on, dog. There's one guideline for it, man.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Let me
Jesse. There's
jump in
Jhmeid, come on.
here. Let me jump in here. I agree with Dante. I love that idea of starting a code of conduct document to say, if you don't like it here, you can go. But by far, we're pretending if we're saying travelers have the monopoly on complaining about facilities. Let's be real. Let's keep it real on here. There's a bunch of our own, and not just SPD travelers. If you're in a travel group at SPD, or if you're like me and you're a clinician and you're in travel groups and you're recruited OR, they do the same thing. They do the same thing. And so it's just saying, warning, this hospital doesn't know what the blank they're doing, and they want you to do this the wrong way. Sean, the way you presented yourself and the way you are in your position now, let me ask you, what percentage of managers or leaders do you think treat travelers the way you do? Hey, welcome on board. This is what we're going to do. Because what Deannard said is what really happens. Hey, come on in. I know you can do 30 cardiac traces a day, but we're going to keep you in decon every day for the first 3 weeks.
No,
Then,
and I agree with you.
After that, we're going to try to change your shift on Thursday to work this weekend. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is there's an opportunity of growth for both sides. I
agree 100%.
I don't think anybody should be bashing anybody, right?
No.
But also, I've had travelers calling me driving from their facility crying because they can't believe what they're going to do, and they can't go back today, but they're being asked to do. And it's not because they have old washers, or not because they do this, and not because they do that. So there's got to be some compromise and really leadership on our part. If they're our travelers and they come in our facilities, they have to go by our facility rules. And if our facility rules are not in conflict with AME documents, AORN, or AST documents, then that should be fine. But sometimes I have to explain, listen, we don't have this, so we do this. We don't have an ultrasonic. We're getting an ultrasonic, so we are able to ultrasonic. But what we do is we do push air through these to try to get them as clean as we possibly can. So those things, that kind of two-way explanation is not the norm. And I get this. I've been on both sides of it.
And I can't say to every manager director out there. I can just say how I treated the folks that come in, because I know when I first got into the industry, I was always told I never make a name for myself in this industry. And I feel like I have in my short 14 years in the industry. So I use that person as a motivation to keep me moving and going up and up and up. So I don't want someone that I oversee to feel that way when I'm onboarding them, presenting them, speaking to them. So again, yes, you're right, 100%. It all depends on both ends. Manager or the leadership of the team needs to address the travelers in an appropriate manner, and the travelers going to a facility need to respond and act professional, on all accounts from both ends. 100%, I agree with you.
But hold on. Frustration with the pay thing, because I've been on both sides of it, right? Like, once the travelers tell your staff how much they're making, they're looking at you like. So I get it, but if you have that communication when they get there, listen, I know how much you're getting paid. It's probably not wise to share it with each other, but please don't share it with my staff. But really, from federal law, you can't stop them. So it's really, you try to create a situation where, listen, I need to keep, if you want to keep traveling here, I need to keep these people that we have, because I can't get 100% traveler staff. So please don't antagonize them with the pay, and we'll work together. But I get the frustration, but I do want you and other people, who are watching this podcast to think about the other frustration from, like Jesse said, when we go into a place and they're like, yeah, we're using cleaning brushes on this other side because it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and the one comment that just popped up, as travelers, and I've experienced it all the time, you're expected to know it all. And I'm like, every facility operates differently, but they don't tell you that. They don't tell you, you're doing a tray and all of a sudden your tray goes up to the OR and then it comes back and they go, well, they're putting liners in trays. What's going on? And you're like, okay, that's what we do. And they go, well, we don't line our trays here. Or they're putting forceps in the bottom of the basket and we put them in popcorn bags, but yet nobody tells us that. You have to be able to communicate your policies and procedures to individuals. When travelers go into facilities, it's rare that they go through a training of the facility. It's here's a tray, put it together. It don't work like that. It should not work like that.
No.
Are you scissor testing all the time? Are you doing a ratchet test? Are you doing rondure testing? Are you doing laparoscopic testing every single time? And as a traveler, if I know that I need to do that as a technician, and then I don't have it in the facility and I question it, management goes, "Oh, you think you know it all." That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Sarah
I do know it all.
right.
You don't.
Sarah's dead on. Travelers are sterile processing technicians too. We're all professional. That's it. I mean, it's nothing more than that.
Yeah, it's definitely needs to be a two-way street on that one. I mean, and again, a lot of even technicians, that even our very own technicians, when travelers come in, do not treat travelers good. It's like because they know, oh, you're making all this money, you should be doing double the work. No, well, I gotta travel. I gotta find housing. I'm in a place of unknown. I'm leaving my comfort zone. You live 10 minutes away from here. I gotta eat TV dinners. All right, so I'm compromising. I'm getting paid for that compromise. Yeah. So don't hate. Don't hate.
Jesse, you want to eat TV dinners because the money you're making, you can be eating steak every night. Come on.
No. That's not the point. Look, you can't live outside that meat like that.
So there's Sean on here. So guys, so. All right, so the perception of travelers, okay, when you come, you should know everything, right? But when they come in, they get, because you see the Facebook posts posted, hey, $2,000 a week, $1,800 a week, you come out there, you're making what, $10,000 a month, something like that. So you see the post online, you see that person coming in like, dang, I'm only making $17.59 an hour. And this person coming in here making $60 an hour. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing that. So you're automatically saying, like, I want to see them do something different than I normally do. Right? And if they can't do what you normally do, you tend to frown upon that. Like, oh, you're making double what I'm making. You can't put a book wall together. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Or you can't
I get that. I get that, but you have to remember, travelers aren't just being compensated for their skill. It's everything else. See, people only look at, oh, you're a technician like I am. Again, yes, I am. And there may be a technician in there that knows more than me. As a technician, I don't know it all, but I experience more than what you do in your one facility. You might know only what your facility does, and I know what other facilities do. I should be able to speak to that and be able to reflect it. I'm not just getting paid to do the work that I do in the facility. I'm getting paid out of the abnormalcy of my lifestyle. People think, oh, traveling's great and all this. It's not that great when you're going into some facilities, is in a town that's jacked the hell up. And you got to find transportation to that facility, housing, and housing ain't cheap, So it's all that you're getting paid to live all that lifestyle. You don't get your home cooked meals all the time, so you got to find a facility that or a place that has a kitchen. If you're lucky enough to do that, it's more to it. And you're in an area that may be hostile. So it's all that. It's all that. I used to tell individuals that wanted to be travelers, find a travel buddy, because let me tell you something, it's not that easy, especially when it comes to females. It's like, look, be careful, do your homework, check what city you're going into, check out the area, how you're going to get to the hospital. If you're driving, be able to call that AAA. It's a lot to go on with that. And people, oh, you're getting paid the same. No, I'm getting paid to do more than what you're doing outside of the work environment.
Hold on, Jesse. Hold on, brother. Hold on. All right. I forgot to give Jhmeid his. Sorry, a while ago. I'll prorate you like the basketball refs. I'll give you one, even if you don't say anything.
Give me one, like give me back.
Yeah.
Give it away.
So what I would say is I don't have a problem with expectation for travelers to perform. Jesse is right. It's like a gauntlet of, aha, do you know this? Do you know that? Do you know that? But then 3 weeks later, when they're doing more trays than your people who've been working there for 15 years, I don't hear any of the complaints then. And by the end of 8 weeks, when they're doubling the production of your people and you're realizing that your problem may not be travelers, but your own production, that's a whole nother argument, a whole nother thing they don't want to open that up, Jesse. So I think I love what Sarah said. Travelers are people too. I think if you're a traveler, it is incumbent upon you to learn the techniques to become an efficient processor, both on the clean side and decontamination. And if you're working on the sterilizer cart, it should be a challenge. It shouldn't be like, aha, travelers here. Can they do better than Deannard? No, it should be a wealthy thing. A traveler is here. How can I help them get up to production as quickly as possible? Because they're still processing technicians. And
that's it right there. That's it right there. So you go.
The facilities will steal your travelers all the time, and I don't mind that, right? Because they'll say, I like working for Sean. I like working for Jesse. Jesse is a great educator. I want to stay here, and I don't have a problem with that. So if you can't keep your own staff, and your own staff is unprofessional and bashing your facility, if the travelers come in and they join in, don't blame the travelers. Don't blame the travelers. Look at that, what's going on. So, I think we have to be harmonized. You know how hard it is for travelers to maintain their certification? Because they can't get CEUs from in-services like the people at the hospital can. When if they choose the CBSBD and they go back and try to get 5 years, hey, I'm trying to see if Deannard, can you sign off on my? They're like, Deannard don't work here. We've been through 4 since Deannard. So I mean, it is an extra challenge. And remember, those human beings are there to help you, not hurt you. Now, if they don't maintain their professionalism, then you have every right to say, hey, this traveler is not working out. But don't blame it on all travelers.
No, I always say it's management down and then tech back up to the management level.
So what do you guys think about those travelers right out of a class or school? Just got certified 3-4 months.
No such thing. No,
I think it should be 2 years minimum.
It shouldn't exist, but it does. I mean, I'm going to keep it real because some of my students went straight from being taught right into traveling. That's the agency's fault. That's and the other part of that, and I'm not going to say the agency. That's the facility's fault if you grab a traveler that's only has that year's experience, because it's just like you interview for a new employee. You should be interviewing this traveler to see what they know. And I'm not just talking about questions. I'm an interviewer that I'll bust a tray out in front of you. Show me what you got. And if you can't identify an absent tooth from an absent plane, you got to go. Okay?
I mean, it's different, Jess, if you come into a hospital that does all the consignment trays to a hospital that doesn't do consignment trays. They just do stainless steel, right? Big difference. But if you say you can do X, Y, and Z trays and you can't perform them when you're on the job, then I have an issue with that right there.
No. That's a trick question there. How many trays do you do? How many trays can you do an
Who
hour?
said that?
How many trays? That's a trick question, man.
Who said that one?
What? No, but you asking me to go to a neuro spine, and I'm telling you I could do 20 up for a shift, but all your trays have like 150 instruments. Like, come on.
Oh no, I'm talking about, so if you send your resume, you could do Stryker and Zimmer trays, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you come into this hospital that does, total joints. And I sit you down with a Stryker triathlon set. You can't put it together. That's kind of, hold true to what you really know and don't know. If you don't know consignment tray, like a Stryker triathlon, don't put it on your resume or don't say you can do it. It's
But
nothing.
that's
There's nothing wrong with you saying I can't do that,
But
Trey.
There's
you
actually a
should
guy on
find-
YouTube who
you should
works
find
himself.
an agency. You should find an agency that has micro designations for each service that makes them perform, get signed off, and take a test on that service. I know of an agency like that, but you should find that agency and stop using those big super agencies that's taking people off the street and changing their resume.
Jesse, those are business decisions. You're gonna lie on your resume because it's not because you want to lie. You're a liar.
No, definitely. No. Now, let me tell you something. I believe 100% in fake it till you make it. But if you can't make it, that's a problem. Okay, I believe 100%. Let me tell you something. Throughout half of my career, I probably faked my resume and got into positions that I should have never gotten into. But I do my homework before I do that because I got to come in with at least. No, I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it 100% real. I got to at least have the base knowledge because once you get, I tell people all the time, in order for you to be productive to do sets, all you have to know is your basic instruments. Everything else is a process of elimination.
The instruments and all instrument trays are the same.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you know all your basic instruments, the rest of the tray is cakework. It doesn't matter after that. You don't have to be, I know every single, orthoscopic instrument by name and by serial number. No, you just need to know a difference between a hemostat and a Tonsilschnitz. Okay, that's it. Know those differences and you're good to go because the rest of it is a process of elimination. That's your basis, your bread and butter. That's the truth for everything that you do in life. If you have a good base, the rest comes unfolds. And again, I'm telling you, I've gotten into positions where I've outperformed people that were in there for 30 years because I done Googled some stuff and be like, okay, I'm going to study this before this interview. And then once I get this job, I'm going to master it because I'm going to connect with every single dot that I can to perfect that trade.
All right. So
resumes. Let me tell you something. It's getting to the point right now where resumes. I don't even look at a resume no more because it's like you gonna do your questions with your individuals up front. They're gonna lie. They're gonna lie through their teeth. Through a resume. They're going to make it look all pretty, use the best formats. They're going to use the automation system to pick out keywords, for skill sets. That don't mean nothing until that person's face to face with you because they may look good on paper, but again, all that glitters ain't always gold. They can have the worst personality or have a memory like Dora from Nemo. Okay.
I haven't watched that
don't
movie
mean
yet,
nothing.
so I'm not familiar with that. So I'll check that out. Netflix.
Disney Plus.
I was gonna say,
Disney Plus.
Disney
All right, cool.
movie.
Okay. All right.
That's a good point Janine said. Janine is bringing out some of that real truth. That some of the agencies kind of set you up in that situation. And you got to find an agency that won't do that. An agency that is going to say, "Hey, if you can't pass our instrument cardiac test and you can't pass the processing, then we're never gonna send you a place and say, oh, we do heavy cardiovascular." So that's a part of kind of our obligation in the industry. And as leaders, as Jesse said, I would not recommend fibbing on your resume, but the resume doesn't tell the whole story. It's more to it than just the resume. And part of it is like, what's your technique? Do you have a training technique that helps people get to know trades faster? And there's a technique. I looked at all my super processors and I said, because a lot of times we as managers, we are harshing on the super processor. If Veronica can do 40 trades a day and Mike can do 12 trades a day, why are we saying, Well, Mike is following all of this and that, and instead of saying, Veronica, what are you doing so that we can replicate that? And that's what I did, because my team leads and supervisors hated tray stackers. But all of my fastest and least error rates had tray stackers. They were tray stackers. And people say, well, what about that one time where they put a Jessie Lopez tray in a Sean Weir tray? Well, okay, that's not the end of the world. It's not great service delivery. But Jessie did 78 more trays in 2 days than the other guy did. So is that one error that wasn't a contamination error that worth saying, oh, Jessie, we need you to stop stacking trays because Mike over there who does 12 trays said he doesn't like that. So there's ways to build in that capacity, whether it's travelers or it's human nature. Like if I do 5 lap trays, the first one is going to take me 31 minutes and the last one is going to take me 16 minutes. That's just, but we go, oh, don't take all the lap trays, Jhmeid, because we got to divide them evenly. No, I'm a traveler. I'm here to learn. I'm a new employee, or I'm new to this. I'm an experienced employee who just started working here. Let me stack those trays so I can learn them, so that I know what's the spots. Oh, they're using these kind of scissors. Oh, they're using this. Oh, they don't have this in the tray. Because my brain is going to be doing my old lap trays, right? But if you see your lap trays a few times, then now you can build up that productivity, and I can catch errors better if I'm not going from neuro tray to cardiac tray so when you, and I know at small places you may not have the opportunity to do this, but when you're in big beautiful places like Jessie is in now, or Sean or Deannard is in charge of, those are the places you should have workstations where you're working on the same service as much as possible, unless you have a turnover tray or you're really behind on a certain kind of trade. But that is how you build that process, that they get more productive and they start catching more errors. Do you have all the function testing stuff? Oh, they complain about the sharpness of the scissors. Well, we don't even have scissor sharpeners testers down here, so it's a surprise. So those are some of the things that to kind of pivot back to the Amy thing. Those are kind of some of the things that are not in Amy ST79 right now. Like if you go to shop, you do accreditation. If you go to a place and they don't have a single function testing, you can't reference Amy and Amy says you should have this, because it doesn't.
Nope.
So it's up to us, not just us who are on this podcast, but the people who are watching. What's the stuff?
All of y'all watching, y'all involved in it too. Y'all are the culprits. Y'all
get involved with Amy.
So Hannah, so we're moving on to education. So how do you educate these persons coming in? Okay, 13 weeks. How many weeks you gonna take to educate? How many hours? How many minutes? How many days? Like what percentage of that is gonna be free money, so to speak?
Realistically, for me, I say the first week, every day a different assignment. First day, we got you and decon, because I get 2 travelers, you in case picking, you in sterilization, you in this, and then I ask the person that I put them with, hey, are they good to go? Which I hate to do for new employees, because if you ask anybody who works in who precept somebody in decon after an hour, they're like, yeah, they good. I'm going on an extra lunch break. But you know, try to get them to each station, and then you can say, oh yeah, she doesn't need no training on assembly, or man, she really knows how to pull a case cart. Or they might say, yeah, Sean doesn't know anything about case cart pulling, which is okay. Then you say, well, let's put him on this or put him on that. But at least those first 4 days, 5 days, kind of rotate them through so they can get to know your place. Not first day decon, and then that's it. Or first day you're out pulling cases. You never pulled cases. You pulling cases for 4 weeks, and then now they go, hey Sean, go to assembly, and you never even assembled a single tray at the facility. So it has to be some balance, because you can't do. I like 60-day orientations, 90-day orientations, 120-day orientations. You can't do that.
Hold up. Jhmeid, I'm short staffed. That's why you're here. I'm short staffed. I can't train.
No, I know. I'm realistic.
I ain't got nobody. I don't.
I'm saying let's try to see in a week. Can you do in a week? Expose them to the different areas and then set them off. Because
there is nobody to expose you. I ain't got nobody. I got nobody in decon. Nobody on third shift. Nobody on second shift.
Sure you do. You definitely had people. You had the management themselves. Let me tell you something. We have to step up as managers. We always go with the preceptors and things like that. We're short-staffed. Yes, understood that. But with travelers, it's not a traditional training. It's active training. They know the basis. They just need to know your policies and procedures. You give them a tray. Hey, we put 2 indicators in the tray. They go in opposite corners. We use liners in all of our baskets. We use ABC containers with this filter. These are the locks. This is where we get our supplies from. When we string our instruments, we string from left to right, smallest to largest, curve before straight, or we follow the count sheets. We're not allowed to substitute. A curved hemostat is just not a curved hemostat. This doctor just likes Ascalat. When you come up with the tracking system, we use SPM, and on SPM, it'll tell you if you can substitute or not. It's an active learning. If a traveler comes in and they don't know how to assemble a tray at all, or they're looking at a pair of glasses and go, okay, what's this instrument? They don't know what the glasses are. That's not active training. That traveler just gave you the okie dokie and you need to send them off. It's active training. It's very little training that you're doing. I'm not gonna say little training, but it's conditioning training that you do with travelers. If you have to sit a traveler with a technician for all 8 hours of a day without supervising them, then that's not the one for you.
Yeah. So how do you know where you're falling short? Are you educated right, or is that traveler just slow in picking it up? How do you know? As far as what, with production wise?
Yeah.
So your training is excellent, but that person still doesn't know what our processes are, what your processes are. How do you know, like, okay, maybe my education or my training isn't that good, or that person is falling short of the mark? How do you balance that out?
Well, again, it depends on your facility too. As you know when things are falling short, because you should be as a supervisor or a manager. I'm 100%. I'm not a desk person. I walk the floor. I look at everybody. I conversate with people. I interact. I work on the floor with my employees, and I answer the questions that they have, and the tough questions, or even the questions. Because I mean, again, traveler might come in and go, "Hey, you know something? I got 4 towel clips. I need a 5th one, but I don't know where your backup instruments are." Oh, well, let me show you that, that's built into our tracking system, or let me show you where that's at, and then reiterate again. Most people don't remember stuff on the first try. You have to tell them a couple more times, or tell them, hey, if I'm not on the floor, this is your best resource right here. Ask XYZ, ask Sean, ask, Deannard where that instrument's at, because he has a wealth of knowledge. You have to give that traveler that read. You just can't just sit them in a corner and be like, just work. It's not going to work like that. It's not. It's active training and making sure, hey, are you okay? If everything's good, are you finding everything all right? Because you got to give them that confidence. If you just sit them in a corner, guess what? They're going to blast you on Facebook.
I see one people of this department on Facebook, you out.
If you don't listen, like Sean said, and Sean does, I think if you say that, then that's fair warning. That's fair warning. And Deannard, just joking about being short, but sometimes when travelers get to a place, it's almost like, here's your scrubs and let's go, and which is good. You got experienced traveler, but they don't know that you put, like Jesse said, you put indicators in both corners. They don't know that you don't use tray liners, or you want your instruments to go metal to metal so you can buy more instruments. They don't know that you have those dusty things that you put the instruments on. You want to put those right in the tray. They don't know. And so no matter how good the traveler is, you have to give them some orientation. And I know you want to get 14 weeks out of the 13 weeks that you're given. But part of that is you got to, orient them to the space. Here's our decon. Here's how we do it. Here's our case pulling. Just help them feel acclimated. And I can tell you, us travelers, we feel great. If we had a manager like Sean, we had an educator like Jessie, a manager like Deannard that would say, "Hey, here's what you're going to be doing. Here's how we're going to do it. This week, we're going to rotate you through the stations to see how good you are. Do you have an annual competency from your company? Because some companies do. If not, you better get an annual competency on that traveler before the end of that first week. Because if you get a survey, you can't go like, oh, no, not Deannard. No, not Deannard. He's a traveler.
Go to lunch.
Go to lunch. Go to lunch.
Where's the mic drop at?
Go wear your Jordans to lunch and get microorganisms.
It's so true.
2 hours. Take 2 hours. You'll be all right.
But what about new hires that come in though? New hires. There's no more travelers. Let's get past the travelers.
Oh man.
How do you train day 3 of a new hire? Do you put them in decontamination, or do you start them out in assembly?
No, day 1 they're in decon. I look, a new hire, day 1 they're in decon. I need to make sure that you can handle the hardest spot in this facility. And I tell you from experience that we had this program here, this facility, the CSP 101 program, and we have students that come in from within the facility that want to work in sterile processing because they hear so much greatness about sterile processing. And I start off with a X amount of students, and when we go to decon that first week, 2 of them drop off. What? Y'all do this all day? What? There's blood? Oh my God. What did you think sterile processing was? That stuff you saw on YouTube? You didn't go to my channel where I showed you the real stuff.
But aren't you worried though, Jesse, about them breaking down the stuff the right way? I mean, they don't even know how the scissor works. Or not a scissor, maybe a chest retractor, how it comes apart.
Where's Sarah?
Yeah, I think Sarah left.
Let me tell you something. Understood 100%. There's technicians in this field that's been here for 15 years that still don't know how to put a retractor together. So we can't hold those technicians responsible because they don't know the thousands of instruments. They know hundreds because that's what they learned in their technician program or should have learned in their technician program. But doing that training is no longer a adaptive training. It is an interactive training. They should have somebody by their side the whole time until somebody signs off on them and say that this person is competent. Those are competencies. Can you flush and brush a cannula? Do you know what a cannula is, or do you just think it's a laparoscopic instrument? Do you know what lumens are?
I'm going to cut you off on that one, Jesse. What about surge techs coming down to SPD to work? Listen. I had a surge tech to come down, and they wanted to work in SPD because they didn't like the surge tech field. And I feel bad for that surge tech. I was training him in decontamination, and we were flushing, brushing, suctions. I walked away to get a case card out the elevator, come back, and this individual got sprayed in the face with a dirty suction. Now, this surge tech was probably about a year into the program. Like, they're scrubbing into cases. They're actually on the field working, right? I was kind of flabbergasted that the surge tech didn't know to cover the hole of the suction when they're flushing and brushing it. So, I think that even surge techs can have some education on our end too.
No, I'll speak on that because I originally started as a surge tech and went through a surge tech program. I was fortunate enough to go through a program that was sponsored by a hospital and basically covered both ends of the spectrum. We had to spend a day each week in sterile processing to understand the process there because it correlates side by side with what you do in the OR. But most surge tech programs are not designed that way. We know the function of the instrumentation, but the cleaning's a whole different animal. We know to put that finger over that, airport because that's the suctioning part of it. we don't put our fingers on there where we're irrigating because it has no reason for. There's an opposite reason for that. So cleaning is a whole different animal. Plus, what we use as irrigation in the OR is nothing compared to the air or the water hose that we use in decontamination.
I'll give you that one. But the Surge Tech programs I've been accustomed to and have been part of, they did have hands-on training and decontamination of SPD. So maybe that's the state barrier.
That is great.
Yeah, and and again, depending on the facility, I mean, I haven't seen not one application for SPD that hasn't required certification, even if your state isn't a mandatory. But most hospitals are all requiring certification. So if you're a surge tech, it doesn't follow. And that was my thing. When I started off as a surgical tech, I was certified. And I reached out and I said, well, I'm certified as a surge tech. Am I certified to work in an SPD? And they were like, hell to the no, you're not. Hell to the no, you're not. You're a surgical tech. So, and I agree 100%. If you want to work in SPD, go get your certification and do your 400 hours.
So, Jesse, with that, would you want a manager or director above you overseeing your department? I know I'm going to go there. that has a surge tech background but no SPD.
No.
And what about a nurse? What about a nurse?
Not if you're an SPD manager.
I feel very attacked.
Not if you're not an SPD manager. Not if you're not an SPD manager.
You just described me, Sean, and what I can tell you is what I can tell you is you're right. The idea that somebody so in the military, we do both of them. We do. There's no sterile process, so we do it. And so, because we do it enough to be dangerous, and they were like, hey, you're going to go down and be the manager of sterile process. And I was like, yeah, I'll whip those guys and shit. They don't know anything. And then after they taught me for 6 months of all the stuff I didn't know, I do agree with Jesse that there needs to, if you get offered that job as a nurse or a surge tech or the first assistant like I was when I was offered the job, there needs to be a humbling because you got a lot to learn about the day-to-day thing. And you starting to pursue your certification, right? That will help you learn the stuff that you don't know, right? Like as I started getting my certification, I was like, well, I didn't know that, but actually they didn't teach me that. They didn't teach me that line. So I went back and said, well, why don't we do this? And they looked like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I agree that I wouldn't say, sometimes we go over the top and say, just because you're a surge tech or a nurse, now you're a bad guy for doing it or a first assistant. But I think those guys can do it, but they got to get in the trenches. Like you can't tell me anything about decon if you're not back in decon. You can't tell me anything about how to accurately to assemble a tray if you're not assembling the tray. So
I agree.
My answer to that is whether they've been a surge tech or not. Hell, there's a bunch of managers out there who will skate sterile processing techs. Listen, it's a bunch. I'm going to tell this story about why I got my CHL. I had this guy, incredibly smart, but he was on a spectrum, and he worked in decon all the time. Whenever we would assign him, he would trade out of decon because his nails were bitten up real bad. And when he was on the clean side, they would go, oh, you can't do your nails like that. So he was in decon all the time. But he was always on action plan, right? Like, we got to get you better on this, get you better on that. Long story short, guy on the action plan, been working there for 3 months, comes in and says, hey, I got my CHL. I'm looking like, I don't have my CHL. So it was like, let me go and get my CHL. But also, it just goes to say, I'm pro certification. I got out of Crown, whatever, but it has to go with performance. There has to be a performance component that does that. But that guy, unfortunately for a next hospital, left and went to be a manager of another hospital with less than 2 years experience. As you can imagine, that didn't turn out well for either party. But the point is, when you say your question about should a surge tech or a nurse be able to be the manager, I think it's more than just those groups. I think anybody who needs to be a manager should have progressive leadership into management, not just the credentials and a bachelor's degree, because those don't always make for the best managers. The best managers that are not scared to get out there. And if you're out there, the more you're out there, and I'm preaching to the choir with these three guys here, but I'm talking to managers who may be struggling a little bit in their department. The more you're out there, the more you know the story, and you're not being told the story. Yep. Because those managers who don't change in the scrubs or who barely changing the scrubs just because somebody complained that they don't change in the scrubs, but they still spend their whole time in their office. They get told the story. The OR tells them the story. The surgeon tells the story. The supervisor tells them the story. The educator tells the story. The staff, they don't know the story because they're not out there. So if you're struggling, get out there. I know that paperwork is piling up, but the more you are out there doing rounds, the less of that paperwork is write-ups and complaints. Now that paperwork starts becoming just regular paperwork. We're like, I'm piled up in paperwork. Why? Because I'm stuck in this office and not out there on the floor addressing the things that are causing the paperwork.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Hold up.
Here you go.
Mm-hmm. So next time, I'll create a ticker to show who has the most bombs. That's what I'll do. There's a show on ESPN like that. So everybody have a little ticker going up 3, 4, 5.
No, good point. I love it. I mean, again, I worked alongside a peri-op director over like 6 other departments. And, SPD at that time was very short. That individual was coming down after working 12 hours, putting in 4 more hours, working in decontamination, working on assembly, wouldn't do sterilization, and I didn't want them to do it anyways. But, they offered their help in the department, and I respect that individual so much more for coming down and their title as a peri-op director over 6 other departments that came down and helped out, and it made a difference in my viewing of some nurses and some surge techs. So, again, like you said, it was dead on. Be out in the department, managers, directors, be one with your team, catch those, those, what do you want to call them? Just in case situations or things are too late. Don't be reactive, be proactive.
And I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's not like anybody can't learn what we do. Anybody with the capacity to want to learn can learn what we do. The reason for certification is to understand thoroughly the why of what we do and understanding it deeper so that we can make a better difference in what we do. That's what certification brings to the table. It's not to be able, I'm certified so I can do the job. I know so many people got that certification that can't do the job.
Mm-hmm.
So they never touched an instrument, but they were good with books.
I know people can do the job, but they couldn't lead a grape out of a paper bag, right?
That's right.
So, like they're the ones you say, hey, Jesse, can you get Sarah to do this tray? And they're like, hey, Sarah, Jhmeid said you should do this tray. But they got their CHL and they're going to go to a department.
That's right.
They go to a department and they can't. They still got to. Who do they blame? I don't know what they do when they get to their own department. Who do they blame then? The OR. The OR said, Sarah, you should do this tray. But yeah, I mean, to your point is that self-assessment. Do I have enough experience? But more than that, do I have enough passion to do this?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Just come to work and clock in, and that's fine. One of the things I had to learn getting out of the military was that you got to appreciate those people who are just passionate enough to be here from 8 to 4. Because if you fire all of them, you'll really be using too many trouble. But
shout out to the travelers.
Don't start saying, well, I want to be like Sean when you don't have the passion to be like Sean. Don't say I want Sean's A grade. I want Jesse's social media following. I want to be up for election like Sean and Deannard without having that passion that they have. So that's right. That's my advice. Do that self.
Yeah, and you can't really buy passion either, man. Like you either have it, or you don't have it.
You can't. You cannot.
When you find someone that has it, I don't care if it's a stepping stone with sterile processing into the next
Boy, I
field.
love it.
Take that person, groom them for the next field, and then set them on their way. Like I don't mind doing that either. Like, if someone has passion for what they love to do, take them in, grow them, and then help them to the next step.
Exactly.
One of my best employees was using SPD to go through culinary school, and she was just awesome. And my staff was like, "Why do you keep hiring these nursing students, these surg tech students, these bakery students, these food service students? Because they have a passion for something." Mm-hmm. So you know their quality and their passion for it, even if it wasn't to stay in the SPD field, was great. It was great, man. They had high quality work and high passion, even though that wasn't their dream. But then you got people who's saying it's their dream, and then you're like, "Hey, can you do a couple of these trades before you leave?" "Oh, I was gonna go on my third 15-minute break because I stored one from last Wednesday." "Oh, okay, go right ahead." Then they go like, "Well, why did you pick Deannard for the supervisor?" Well,
Agreed.
So guys, we're gonna table this for the next show, part 2. We're gonna have a part 2 where we address quick turnarounds. All right, I think that's an interesting topic. You know, we have the staff in short. We could always address education again, because I think that there are so many levels in terms of education.
It is so many levels.
Definitely.
So anybody you guys want to give a shout out to before you leave? I know Jesse have like a million shout outs, but Jesse will go last. So Sean, who you got to shout out?
I'm going to shout out everybody out in the field being a professional. You know, I appreciate you all working out there. You know, travelers, you know, techs work for hospitals. I appreciate you all. And if you're a member of HSPA, don't care who you vote for, but just go out there and vote. You know, there are 6 good candidates for the board of directors, and there's 2 amazing candidates for the president-elect. Get out there and vote.
Oh, shit, I couldn't have said that better then.
And I tell you what, if you want to rap race a world champion.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, pull it out, baby. Pull it out, the dog. Pull it out, dog. Pull it out. There you go. That's official right there.
So everybody knows that's
official.
That was participation.
Oh wow.
Participation trophy only. That's all that says.
The rap champion, officially. So
that's the official right there. That's in the book. Stop the door.
That's from like 2002. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
I had to be on there. You know, like those America's Worst Cooks. I could be on America's Worst.
That's right.
If you want to get together at HSPA, we can do something.
2023 rap race. Let's go.
That's right. We gotta make it
Haggard is going down.
I'll make it happen. I'm a spectator because I'm not a fast rapper. I'm a neat rapper.
Yeah, you're one of those pretty rappers.
I like your rap.
Right,
I like your rap. I do like your raps.
I'm slow and sloppy. So
oh man, come on.
But if you put some ortho trays in front of me, I'm gonna eat them up.
Okay.
I do want to shout out to Callie right there, though. Callie, I appreciate you. And then, Deannard, thanks for having this podcast tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother. No problem. I'm like, you know what? We need to turn up a little bit in sterile processing because we're a little too quiet. And I'm also trying to have some events over this, at least one. We had a golf outing last year. Ofui was there. We had a couple other guys there from in sterile processing. Dante was there. Danny O was there.
I like
Jesse was supposed to show up.
Not again. Jesse, not again.
Not bad, yo.
Not again, Jesse.
So Jesse, I got you on the next one. I got you on the next one, though. Definitely. And we have I'm trying to organize a bowling situation this year also. So
okay. That'll work.
I'll be there.
Some events. We're gonna broadcast it and also I want to do a workshop, a cell processing workshop too. So where vendors and schools could come through. Jesse, I'll talk to you about it on the other side too. Jhmeid, I want
Okay.
you guys to come
You know,
down and
I'm here to support.
we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna be like a community type of what do they call that? Those community meetings,
Town
um,
hall.
like a town hall
Town
meeting.
halls.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
We talk and showcase cell processing, and vendors pitch their stuff, schools pitch their stuff, and we just have an overall conversation. Person that wanna go to school, the schools pitch their stuff to them and show them the differences between online versus in person, etc., etc. So I think we need some workshops like that. It doesn't have to always be a chapter, but I think we need some more outreach within the community. That's I think one of the reasons why we fail in terms of recruiting now. So definitely
Okay.
want to do that.
So
Um,
Deannard, with that right there, any manager director on this call, I challenge you to go to, you know, underprivileged areas, colleges, communities, the local high schools. Don't go to seniors. Go to 10th, 11th graders. Talk about this profession. Get them interested in the healthcare system.
I love it.
You
Love it.
you might change their lives if you go and talk to them. I've done that in the past. And I'm very passionate about it. Get out there and talk about the industry. You could save someone's life or change and get them on a better path. So get out there and talk about the profession. 10th, 11th graders, communities out there, So Deannard, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely. At this point in my life, at 75, I think giving back is very important to me. In the last 10 years,
You look good for 75, man.
I know, just for men, man. Thank you very much.
It's
So
just
yeah,
on the beard.
I think it's really important to give back at this point. Like, I made a couple dollars. I went through a couple facilities. I think I'm good at what I do. And I think at this point, just to leave some type of legacies. I listen somebody when you say Deannard, I'm like, that old dude, he taught me something once upon a time. So, at least giving something back. That's why, Sean, I know you could attest to that. Traveling and on the missions. I think that's really important too. Anybody wants to come on a mission, give me your info. I'll try and get you on also. So I'm going back to Jamaica in November, hopefully, God's spare, to do some more work. So
I might go to Guatemala again. I'm not sure yet. I'm up in the air.
Awesome.
cool. And Jhmeid, who you want to thank, man? I know you have a million people with deep pockets. Thank those first.
Let me tell you, mine is pretty straightforward. I want to thank all the members of the most compassionate profession out there, and that's sterile processing technicians. You are a dedicated group that works often in anonymity, and I just appreciate you. I appreciate you. I understand your struggle, and I'm doing everything I can every day to try to make it better. It's too late for me because I'm old, but for everybody coming behind me.
You have one little great thing there. That's it. Now you're not old. That's it.
No,
You
it's
trying
a
to
lot
show that off
more.
every like you.
A lot more. But and I just encourage you to realize the impact that you can have and that you will have. I want you to jump into Amy. I want you to jump into that next opportunity. I want you to jump back into I want you to get your certification, not because it's a bragging thing, but I want you to get your certification because when you're studying and you're learning, like, oh, we don't do that. Oh, I better do a better job of that. I want you to take that next step. And I also want to shout out the Pennsylvania area that I'm coming to Saturday. I'll be there on Saturday. So if you want to, kind of fight with me on stage, and I don't mean that literally fight, but I have a very interactive presenting style. So it's going to be a lot of pauses. So if you guys participate, it'll be a fun one. If you guys don't participate, I'll be on and off the stage in 15 minutes. You'll be like, wait I thought that guy knew what he was talking about. But we're going to have some fun, get together with this same group. If, one person shows up. So let's have some fun. Go celebrate yourself, not just in CS Week. The thing when we talk about travelers and pay, there's some money in this industry as you move up the ranks. But moving up the ranks costs passion. So if you have that passion in your bank, you can help get some more money in your bank if you move up and have that passion and become that problem solver. So I'm encouraging you there who think you know it all. You don't know it all yet, but you can.
Hold on. Somebody asked for a bomb. Hold on.
Oh, come on. That's
Drop
teasing
it,
right
drop
there.
it. Come on, drop it.
You gotta please the audience, man. Because they pay the bills. You gotta please the audience. They pay the bills, so you know. So, but we're definitely speaking. This will be my second in-person. Like technically, when you talk to people, it's kind of a presentation anyway. Talk to students and stuff. But my second official. I know Jesse started last year. I'm trying to get up to his level. But this will be my second in-person presentation. So guys, come out, check it out. I'm trying to be like Sarah B. Cruz and Jhmeid Billingslea, and ultimately like Jesse with their little props and stuff with the presentation and da. So I'm trying to incorporate the pauses too. I think that's a good thing. And the storytelling is definitely important. So I'm trying to pick those little habits up from those guys. So I record them when they're speaking, and I play it back, and I steal their little tricks. So. Now they know. So come out Saturday at Holy Redeemer Hospital, 8 to 4:30. You get 6 CEs. It's on LinkedIn posted. Check out my posts on there. Come in. It's only $25. Only $25.
Wish I could be there.
Yeah, man. I've been asking you but happy birthday. It's his
I'm
birthday
getting old.
weekend. How old are you now? 27?
Not a day over 20.
So, but we'll definitely see you. I'm going to invite you to a couple of our events, and then we'll get together, do some stuff.
For sure.
And my mind is always working on different social media stuff. So we're going to do something because we just thought of that last week.
Yep.
And we came together. I'm like, this guy's, we need to at least promote the field and show people we're human beings, but we're smart and we know what we're talking about too. So. It doesn't always have to be sitting down in a seminar and getting a lecture. You could actually talk about and have different opinions, and it's okay. So Jesse, who you want to thank? I know your people up there in, I don't want to say the place. I only say I'll repeat what you say. So your people at your place, thank you to them. Appreciate all the support. You have some nice people up there, and they're coming on Saturday too. So appreciate
Man,
them.
I ain't shot none of them cats out. I'm going right with Snoop Dogg. I'm gonna shout out me. I'm gonna thank me for everything that I do and everything that I present. But on a real, for real, I thank everybody who's ever taken the time to listen to me, to debate with me, to correct me, to teach me, to mold me, and to push me to go forward. I thank all of you guys. I learn from all of you guys. I admire all of you guys, everyone on the panel, everyone who I interact with and network with. It's been a fantastic ride, and I don't foresee myself getting off of this ride anytime soon. So I just want to learn and continue to educate and learn at the same time, and just spread the news and make this a better field any way I can.
Stir the pot, Jesse.
That's right, sir. Stir it up.
Keep making the best how-to videos in the industry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But wear your sleeves, though, man. All right, wear your sleeves.
Nah, man. We're going to talk about that the next episode, dog. We're going to talk about that the next episode.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get to that. Somebody asked me about that at Amy.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for y'all.
We got to get into
I'm ready for y'all.
Hold on, guys. 1 second. I'm trying to get my page here. Yeah, so definitely let me put out the link for the Maxa chapter where you guys could register for that seminar on Saturday. The link is on there and directions and all, and you get free parking. So it's not in the city, so you get free parking, and it's a nice little area. So I'll try to do some live stuff from there, just a little snippet so that you guys could see. But it's very cool. Jesse's coming down. So and we want to do a little something afterwards too. So
Awesome.
So, but thank you guys. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. I know you guys are very busy. Jesse's always online doing those videos, and I learn a lot. So I never criticize Jesse. You know why I don't criticize Jesse in his videos? Because there's always, from everything you see he doing around, there's like 10 things he's doing right. So like the little stuff I don't like. Oh, Jesse, why is your hairy arm on the wrap? versus you wearing a jacket. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. You know, I'm like, okay, he's doing something right. Let me focus on the right stuff.
But where's his hair cover at, though, man? Where's his hair cover? He's in the department working. Where's his head covering at?
I'm not in the department right now, bro. I'm in an office. Chill. Stop playing with me.
But Jesse
It's right here.
And I always recognize improvement. His videos has improved over the years. He's incorporating the X times. He's speeding them up. He's doing the voiceovers. He's doing different angles. Before he was on his kitchen counter with the t-shirt. And now you gotta show people you recognize the improvement and they're going in the right direction. So and when people tell me I've improved, I always appreciate that and like, okay, I'm making a difference. So shout out to Jesse and all his improvements and his different angles and his takes and his quality of his videos too. So thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Where's that bomb at? Come on, one more bomb.
Oh yeah, hold on. Man, I got so much stuff on this. Boom. Where is it? Yep. Now I'll put a ticker next time. Definitely. We'll get to know who's gonna win at the end of the show. Who has the most bombs behind their name? So it's gonna be a competition to hit your mark every time you speak. So, but guys, thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate you, and guys, don't go because everybody does that. Somebody drops off when the outro is playing. So stay on, guys. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I could remember because I want to give everybody a shout out because they took their time, they sat down, they watched. Shout out to Veronica and Holder, appreciate you. Shout out to Ofui, Arlen Bush, shout out to you, thank you. Andy Mikos, thank you, brother, thank you for your post also. Lloyd Scott, thank you, appreciate you. Who else? Nisha Brown, appreciate you, thank you for commenting, thank you for your time. Lila Price, appreciate you. Janine McGlynn, am I saying that right? I hope not. Vanessa Kavanaugh, appreciate you, thank you for joining. Maria, Angie Holland, I saw that name when you posted your stuff, so I'll call you Maria next time I see you. Sean Flynn, appreciate you. Who else we have here? Dante Jones, Sarah B. Cruz. Who else? Sarah Vincent.
Arlene's on there too.
Arlene Bush, I think I mentioned Arlene.
Callie.
Who's that? Who?
Callie's Arlene, man. That's her nickname for me. Or that's my nickname for her. It's Callie.
Callie? All right.
It's a long story, man. We'll talk about it.
Thank you guys and all those who watching who didn't comment. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, and we're out. Peace.
Peace.